Hi, my name is Rachel Simon, and this is a story about something I did when I was 10 with my father, Ben Simon. So I went to Woodstock when I was 10. I may have been the only 10-year-old actually there. I was in sleepaway camp. I was a 10-year-old with braces, living in a bunk. I didn't like being in sleepaway camp. It was in Pennsylvania near the New York-New Jersey border where all three states come together. It so happened that my father was living with his girlfriend in New York State, real near the site where the concert was going to take place. And he had heard about it, and he actually went and bought tickets for it. He thought it was going to be a large folk festival. And my father's quite a character. He is now, and he was then. He has a great sense of humor, and he liked the protest music of that time. And so he wrote me a letter, and he said to me, he wrote me a letter at camp, and he said, would you like to come to an Aquarius festival that I'm going to in this particular weekend in August? And I had no idea what this was. I said yes, because I wanted to be with my father, and getting a weekend sprung from camp, which felt like prison to me, was a good deal. So my father picks me up and brings me to where he was living in New York State with his girlfriend, Sally, and we went out on Friday and bought provisions for this thing, which I thought was going to be a giant aquarium. And we went and bought a 4-gallon canteen, and which he filled with water, and then he made a bunch of tuna fish sandwiches and brought an umbrella, a very important detail. And we drove on 17B, the famous 17B, rural roads, until we got to a place where it was clear you could not drive anymore. And we got out of the car, and I said to my father and Sally, what are we going to do now? And my father actually held out his thumb. So I hitchhiked for the first time that day, and we proceeded along the highway getting rides from people who were all very friendly. So I ended up having a very friendly notion of hitchhiking. And the crowd got thicker and thicker and thicker and thicker. And from where we were, I could see those tents that you see in the movie. And then the crowd got so dense, the cars just had to stop. So we got out, and we were in this press of people. And I'd never been in a crowd situation, and I'd certainly, as I said, never been to a concert. And I'm still looking for the fish tanks. So I was walking around in a daze with my father and Sally leading me, and we actually found a place in the thick of all these people where there was space for us to lay down our blanket, and we laid down our blanket and sat there. And I'm looking at the stage and hearing this music coming, and I could see the scaffolding where the stage was, and there was no fish tank. And it dawned on me that this was not an aquarium, this was something else. I said to my father, is this it? And he said, yes. So actually, I had some disappointment at the beginning, unlike those 17-year-olds who were probably, away from their fathers for the first time. But what was really wonderful was that I was there with my father, and I felt very protected and safe. And that was pretty important because there were, whatever, 500,000 people there, or whatever it was, and it was extremely overwhelming. I remember some people around us were smoking a funny cigarette that they were passing around. I had never seen that before. I didn't click on it being marijuana until a year or two later when I saw an article in Life magazine. Apparently at some point while I was asleep, the guy next to us took off his clothes. I was very disappointed that I missed that. And also, some other guy, when he saw us eating our sandwiches, said to my father, oh man, I didn't bring any food. Would you like to trade half a sandwich for some hits of mescaline? And my father said, I'll give you the sandwich, but it's better to give than to receive. This was all on Friday, because we were ticket holders, so we came for Friday. And it was not raining at that time. Night fell. I remember seeing Sly and the Family Stone, and there was some sort of light show. My father remembers seeing Melanie and The Who and Ravi Shankar. And this spectacle of, I remember people with sheep, walking around with sheep, and other people sitting around a very large bonfire, and it was another reality. When it started to rain Friday night, my father said, all right, let's go. And we put up our umbrella, and we started walking toward the road. And other people were walking toward the road, and none of them had an umbrella. And I've always thought it was ironic that the big rebels of that time called themselves the Weathermen, but nobody had an umbrella. The next morning when I woke up, I went out to the kitchen, and Sally and my father had gotten the paper for the day, and there was a huge picture that was the whole front page, and it was an aerial shot. And I looked at it, and it was where I'd been, right? And I said to my father, I was there. And he said to me, for the rest of your life, no one will believe you were at Woodstock. Though actually there was someone who did believe that I was there. My father brought me back on Sunday to camp, and he dropped me off, and my counselor saw me, and she said, so where'd you go this weekend? Because she thought I was going to an aquarium maybe, that I didn't understand what it was. And I said to her, you know, there were all these people, and there was music, and it was really big. And she said, oh, you were at Woodstock. I hate you.